My name is Matea. I'm one of the producers of Animafest Zagreb. It's a world festival of animated film, international festival, which is actually second oldest still running festival after Annecy. It was established in 1972, and it's still running. It was actually established by authors gathered around Zagreb School of Animated Film. And ever since all those 45 years, it's oriented toward authors, and it's actually made for them and, of course, for the audience. That would be roughly.
Yeah. And Kieran?
Hi, I'm Kieran Argo. I'm the animation programmer for the Encounters Short Film and Animation Festival in Bristol. Our festival's the baby of the crowd. We've been going for only 22 years. It was set up in '95 as a celebration weekend of short film and animation for the centenary of film. It was successful, so we repeated it for a few years, and then it kept on building on its success, so we introduced a competitive competition to the festival. And it's gone from strength to strength, I'm glad to say. It's one of the leading UK platforms. It's a showcase. We're not really about the previous panelists who were talking about, you know, a meeting point for the business and for series work and for linking up buyers and producers and distributors, etc. We're more of a showcase for young, emerging talent, and we're there to celebrate established talent as well. One of the unique selling features of the Encounters Festival is that we mix up live action shorts as well as animation shorts as well. So you're as animators, you're going to be in there with live action filmmakers as well. It's very much a filmmaker focused festival. And it all rhymes with F. And we're there to celebrate and to give a leg up to emerging filmmakers. We're really there to celebrate and enjoy, and to promote. You know, the 2 sessions ago mentioned badges of honour. I mean, to the short film circuit. You know, there are probably over 2,000 festivals throughout the world every year. For animators, there's probably 80 to 100 festivals that are useful to you. And to see your film getting a kind of momentum going throughout the world and hopefully picking up awards as well is nothing short of, you know, hugely rewarding. Because you go on to win the bigger prizes as well, the BAFTAs, the Oscars, and you know, that is the absolute pinnacle if you're a filmmaker, isn't it?
Indeed. So you've both touched on it a little bit, but I was wondering if you could say more about the kind of structure of both festivals, what the strands are, and, you know, roughly how many films you would program and how those would be divided up in the festival.
Animafest is dedicated to short and feature film. Before we were only short film festival, then we were exchanging short and feature editions. Now, from 2014, we screen both short and feature films. Every year we get around 1,700 submissions. And from that number, we select around 40 films in our short film competition, 40 films in student film competition, also around 40 for children film competition, and 8 or 9 feature films. We also have a site-specific animation competition. It's a competition for three-part media facade of Museum of Contemporary Arts in Zagreb, and usually we show around 10 or 15 films according to how long they lost. So if you look at the numbers, it means that less than 5% of films that enter they submit. They got selected, which is all very sad part for me when I have to tell people they're not selected. But the competition is really strong, so it makes sense that.
Yeah, I think that's often the case with short films, especially. The competition is tough.
On 40 films in every of those competitions, I think there are 40 more that should have been there but couldn't be because selection committees had to find the selection they are all okay with. So.
Yes, of course. And for encounters?
Well, our ratio is a bit higher than that. I think we have around 500 submissions and animation. And I'm glad to say I fight tooth and nail every year to get as much screen time as possible, and I usually try and get about 80 films in competition across 6 competition programs. Then on top of that, there are 9 live action competition programs and 5 mixed. That's both live action and animation combined. Now, all of those programs are all competition eligible programs. So it's quite good. We do our very best to select the best as well as get as many of the submissions on screen as possible. But it's the programmers' nemesis is the lack of screen time. We're always having to disappoint because there's just never enough. There's always a basket load of brilliant films that just don't get the light of day, unfortunately. But there's plenty of other festivals.
Yes, no, that's always the way with festivals. So just to follow up on that, I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about how the selection process works for both festivals, because I know it's different from festival to festival. Is it all down to one programmer or a team of programmers, or do you have any external viewers? And also whether you have any criteria that you set for everyone, or whether it's just a matter of people's personal tastes.
Well, for our festival, it is a matter of personal tastes. First part of selection is made by our artistic director, Daniel Šuljić, which then passes around 600 films to, I'm talking now about a short film competition, to his fellow selectors. And the 3 of them watch the films together and decide on a final selection. For student competition program, we have 3 selectors that are watching films, and then we take their average grades, take the best films, and then they watch it again. For children film competition, we have a media psychologist from Slovenia. She's choosing and categorizing films according to children's age. And we open submissions every year in November 1st. And they last for 3 months, and they're free of charge, and yeah.
Okay, and for encounters, how does it work on the animation side?
It's myself plus for the last 4 or 5 years I've used at least, well, this year I've used Nigel Davies from Aardman, who is I've used for several years, so I really trust his take and his judgment. In previous years, I've also used at least 1 or 2 other people as well for the pre-selection stage. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's a subjective judgment. Somebody has to carry the can, and I'm pleased to say it's always a joy to see the films and to put them into thematic programs. So it's part of the great pleasure of the job.
I would like to add that we do not ask for premieres because we feel the films already have only few opportunities to be shown to the audience.
We talked about this, didn't we? Yeah.
Does Encounters have any premiere requirements?
Absolutely not. We for short film we do not agree with any premiere policy. We'd argue strongly against it for short form work because short filmmakers struggle enough to get their films out there and be seen and appreciated. I can understand premier policies for multi-million-pound big budget productions that, major distribution deals are hinging on where it gets seen first and who gets first dibs at the contract, but that doesn't apply to the short film world. So we've always been very anti-premier policy for shorts.
Yeah, and in fact,
sorry, not only do those authors, directors already had enough trouble, but Animafest is a partly public-funded festival, and we feel that our audience should see the films no matter where they were shown before in some other festival in other cities and countries.
I completely agree. I think with feature films, some of the anticipation comes from no one having seen the film before, whereas with short films, I think the anticipation kind of builds as the short films get seen and build up a bit of a reputation on the festival circuit.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't get that many opportunities to see a short film up on the big screen, and with good audio reproduction and good projections. So we can only add to the whole anticipation of the event.
Exactly. And do
in our feature film competition, there are also no blockbusters. They're mostly European or Japanese. It seems European and independent American films. So Croatian distributors almost never buy those titles. So it is the only time that our audience is going to see them.
Okay. And when it comes to shorts, do you accept shorts that have been put online already or not? Or does the line get drawn there?
We have no problem with that.
I would always encourage filmmakers to strategize and to plan a festival outing first. I'm not saying don't do it, but I think it's always best to try the festival circuit first, and hold back from making it accessible to anybody.
And it doesn't last long, maybe a year and a half. Yeah, so you can wait after all the trouble you had producing it. But we wouldn't disqualify the entry because it's online.
Okay. And would you definitely encourage people to put the film online once the circuit is done, so to speak, once you've been to festivals for a year or a year and a half?
Depends what the producers' intentions are, what they want. If they want to make it, a free access to anybody, go ahead. It's fine. Some filmmakers do make some money from it, but it's a difficult business.
With short films, yes.
Yeah, and making money.
Are there any industry initiatives that run alongside the festival and specifically relating to animation in encounters? And can you give some examples of what they've been in the past couple of years?
We did have a pitching forum by 2013, after which we decided not to have it because the broadcasters and other industry representatives we could gather just didn't seem like a good enough reason for a project to come to present itself in Zagreb, because Animafest is held every year in a week prior to Annecy. And we often heard a sentence which at first frustrated me. We come to Zagreb to meet friends and have fun, and then we go to Annecy to make business. First, I thought, my God, and then people told me, don't get frustrated, because we make a lot of work while we are hanging out there, which is true. But we decided not to have pitching forum, not right now at this moment. But it would be very interesting to collaborate and to connect with other initiatives in Central Eastern Europe. And but we have many educational programs and workshops and master classes, which are interesting to professionals and authors that come to Zagreb, and for the general audience, because it's always free of charge.
Okay.
Well, likewise, we have quite a few workshops, master classes, and some panel discussions, some show and tells, guest programs, guest studios. but notably, we've had for the last 5 years, we've put on a single day, not just during the Encounters Week, but also at other events. It's called the Encounters Producing Animation course. I'm glad to see there's at least half a dozen people in the audience, wave, who were on this course just last Monday. And we've also tagged it on to other events like the Edinburgh Film Festival, British Animation Awards. So it's really just quite an intensive one-day course where we bring together some of the leading and most successful animation producers to offer over some of their top tips and advice in how to go about pitching, getting your work ready for development, and what to do once it's in development and distribution and beyond.
Is that part of how you build sort of long-term relationships with filmmakers who've been to the festival, or is that part of the ethos of the festival to have any kind of returning filmmakers, or people who kind of then participate in industry events and masterclasses?
I think it's both. I think that films are not the only thing we can offer to filmmakers that come to Zagreb. And I think that once they come and all the selected authors get 6 days accommodation in Zagreb and of course accreditation, can make the most of their stay there.
6 days?
Yeah.
Wow. That's good.
That's why only 2 people do the festival throughout the year, so we can pay for the hotel.
Yeah. Well, we're very glad to report that we do have alumni. We have people returning. 3 years ago, we had Annette Milić for her. She was showing her graduation film, The Kiosk, in 2013. And I was delighted to see her latest film called Analysis Paralysis. And I'm doubly delighted to announce that it won the Grand Prix on Saturday night. And it's a beautiful film. It's so life-affirming. It's so humorous, and it's done with such great character as well. I urge you to try and see it if you can. So there's an example of a returning filmmaker coming along, and picking up the Grand Prix. What better experience can an animator have at Encounters? You won the Best of British.
Best of British.
Yeah.
And actually, yes, just to follow up on that, could you tell us what the different prizes are at both festivals, and what comes with those prizes, and what they might qualify you for?
Grand Prix in both feature and short competition at Animafest brings you 2,500 euros. We also have a prize of 2,000 euros for its Golden Zagreb Award, which honors the innovativeness in production. 1,500 euro award for best film outside the educational institution. 1,000 euro cash award for best student film, and also for best creation film, which competes in a separate competition. Mm-hmm. And it also qualifies. Short film winner is qualified for Cartoon d'Or and Academy Award.
Yes.
Qualified.
Yeah.
We're also Academy Awards qualifying festival, and the Cartoon d'Or nominating festival. Which is great, and we have the Grand Prix, we have the Best of British, we have European Award as well. I think that's it. And then
you nominate a film for the European Film Awards.
Oh, so the European Film Awards, but that also covers that's across the live action board as well.
Yeah.
We also have a very successful short competition called Depict, which started off as a storyboard competition. But then we said, well, why don't we get them to make a film in up to 90 seconds maximum. And I'm very pleased to report that the majority of those films are in animation. and animation has consistently picked up the Depict Award. There are about 6 awards under the Depict competition, and that's managed by the Watershed, who are our venue host partners for the festival.
And they get shown during the festival, or the final entries, don't they?
That's
from
right. Yeah,
Depict?
there's a whole separate committee and jury selection committee and final jury involved in that one.
Yeah, I was on it this year actually. So,
Sorry, I wanted to add that this year we opened a call for festival illustration and trailer. We are hoping to get interesting ideas for our festival illustration, which will be a basis of festival visual identity. And then the first prize will get 3,000 euros to make us festival trailer, 30-second festival trailer. I think it's also another way to meet the authors and see how they respond to our festival throughout the year.
Yeah. I was wondering if you had any advice for filmmakers when it comes to planning a festival strategy, if they have, say, a short animation that they would like to see travel around festivals.
Do a bit of research. Try and it takes a lot of time. There's, as I said, there's so many festivals out there. There are probably 80 to 100 good festivals. I mean, I think Annette's filmed The Kiosk 3 years ago. I just had a look before I came up online, and she lists over 100 festivals that she submitted that film into, and I think her reward from that, she picked up 16 awards out of that batch of 100. Some companies have the luxury of appointing somebody to do all that work for them. I did it for Arbin for many years. It can be a full-time job, but it does require some homework. You need to look at the festival, look at the kind of films that they put on, try and build up a rapport with them, get in touch with them. They're more than happy to hear from you and to establish a relationship with you. I'm more than happy to advise anybody if they come to me and ask, what festivals would you recommend? I can fire off a long list of my top 80.
That is a long list.
if you want. But it's even if you just give it a dozen festivals, just you need a little bit of money and a lot of time and effort.
Yeah, a lot of time indeed, because entry forms aren't always
Yes.
fun and
They don't fill out themselves.
Yeah, and I would say that the most important thing is not to lose hope, because now you heard about statistics, and we are not exception. We do accept many entries, but so does other festivals. As a producer, I can't emphasize enough. Please don't wait for deadline, because first week when we open our submissions, we receive 100 films. Then we receive through those 3 months we receive 700, and then 1,000 at last week. 500 on last day. And it's not that we're not going to watch those films. We will, from the beginning to the end. No fast forwards, no, okay, this isn't going anywhere, I'm going to stop now. But it's not the same thing if you watch a film a day or you watch 70 film a day. It's just not the attention you can give to the film, the same as you can do it when.
No.
Of course, we encourage people to contact us if they feel their film isn't going to be completed and they feel they need more time. We have many schools that contact us because their graduation films aren't over when our submission deadline is, and it's normal, and we can discuss that, and it's okay. But really, I encourage people to submit their film as early as possible.
Yeah, and likewise, I mean, you don't have to have a finished film by the deadline, but I do insist that I see a work in progress, because if I'm going to be blown away by the work in progress and your finished film, I need to build that into the overall, because I'm counting seconds up to the very last day, the last hour, where I need to submit the locked programs. So as much information as possible by the deadline. Ideally, you know, a few weeks before that. But yeah, if your film isn't finished, but you can guarantee it will be finished, say 2 to 3, maybe a month after the deadline, then you might get a space.
So you both accept works in progress?
Not officially.
Not officially.
Not officially, no.
But if the filmmakers get in touch and make a convincing case.
If they're polite and desperate enough.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Yeah, but it's...
Use £20 notes also help.
I think it's normal, and with the circumstances, the independent, non-commercial authors are working. It's really a normal thing to wait for them and have understanding for the situation in which they are.
And so, how far along would you say a film has to be before it's advisable to submit it to show it to anyone, basically? And at what stage would you say best to just wait until the next round?
It's got to be pretty far advanced, because the only leeway I have is up to maybe 3-4 weeks at the very push. So you've got to be that close to finishing.
Yeah.
So if it's in storyboard stage, forget it.
It has to be
unless you have
a
factory of 600 people working on it. I doubt
Very
you're gonna,
often
I doubt
the
you're gonna do
authors
it.
tell us, yeah, but the final sound isn't mixed or something. Okay, it's okay. We'll like it this way, and it will be finished in 2-3 weeks. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's final editing and final comping and
Yeah.
relaying of sound and stuff.
No, that makes sense. And actually, at what stage do you start setting the films that you definitely want in the program? Because I assume that as these submissions come in, you start making some decisions, and so the later people submit, the more films you're already quite attached to, or is that not the case?
I go through a pre-selection. So stage one is I go through all of the films. My pre-selection team go through 98% of them, nearly all of them, and then we end up with a very long shortlist. And then from that, I start revisiting the films. And I start at that point with all the notes that I've taken along the way. I start to look and try and identify some themes. There are recurring themes. Every year you'll have films on love, loss, loneliness, death, birds, animals. So, you know, it's quite... the themes don't... it's not difficult to find the themes, really, but the films... Getting the films to fit... And, you know, getting it down to optimize. As I said, you know, I am there counting every second and making sure I get as much screen time to a frame-by-frame film up there as possible.
I think that last year maybe we asked for 3 or 4 films that didn't apply themselves, but they didn't finish in our competition at the end. So the fact that we saw the film at the other festival, or that we have a close connection to the author, doesn't really mean anything, because the selection process isn't just about one person or someone is really nice, but it depends on many criteria, of course. Yeah.
So very few films...
I think that this personal touch, not that we have to know each other by email, is perfectly good, is in this stage, many nice people contacted us with their ideas. They're not only I have film, but what they would like to see, or what at the festival, or what they would like to do at the festival. They have an interesting project, they want to have a workshop or something, and now is the time for such suggestions, because we still have time to discuss them.
So you accept suggestions from filmmakers as to what kind of events they'd like to see
Why
at the
not?
festival?
Yeah, of course. We make the festivals for them.
Of course. And is that the same at Encounters? Do you have a sort of dialogue with people as to what
Yes.
they would like to see at the festival?
Yeah, and I forgot to mention, we also have a shorts to feature strand, where any new animation feature, if that person, the director or producer, has a past history with the festival in the short form work, that's of particular interest to me, because I want to to tell the story, the longer story about how people can start in short form and get up to being into feature length territory.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more prevalent in the live action world. That has to be said.
And just in terms of the submissions versus films that you see at other festivals, it sounds like you both mainly program film submissions, or do you quite regularly invite films that you've seen at other festivals that you really want?
Of course, you see films you really like, but it's only important in terms of if they didn't submit, then you ask them to do so you can consider them, because every film has to be officially submitted through our online form and everything.
So you never do a direct invitation, just say to someone, we definitely want your film in the festival?
I do a few invitations. I don't get out much, to be honest. I wish I did, but the vast majority of the films are from submissions. For example, this year I made specific invitations to about three or four films. That's all.
And if a filmmaker's film is selected in the festival, and if the film does well and it starts to get into a few festivals, what advice would you have for filmmakers in terms of how to decide whether to go to a festival or not? Because obviously it can get quite expensive, very time consuming. Some directors find that they've ended up spending 1 or 2 years just travelling around and not doing much else for their next project. And also, how would they make the most of their time if they do attend a festival?
I believe that every festival is a great opportunity to see other works and meet other people involved in animation. But of course, I heard authors saying, but that drags me away from my work. I cannot work on my new film because I'm always at the festivals. But after a while, they see how good it is to network.
Of course, it's just fine balance.
There is a symbiosis between creativity and being inspired, and you can get such inspiration from festivals. So, year in, year out, I hear back from filmmakers just what a wonderful, great time they've had, and I'm sure it's the same at many festivals, is that they go away tired, but also charged up and raring to get in and get on with their next idea. It is a wonderful opportunity to networking, make new friends, and find like-minded people, and the inspiration that a festival can give is it's important.
Also, we pay for the hotel, as I said, but also we are mediators, if that's the word, with the National Film Funds or with the British Council. This year, I've contacted British Council to say that we realize we have 24 UK films in our not only competition programs but other programs too, and they were surprised to see it because it was like 8% of overall program, and we sent them a list of names, and they contacted people, and they offered them support for travel, and we do that with all the other film funds that they have, which have that opportunity. So we help them that way too.
Yes, and not everyone might know that the British Council does have a short support programme which enables filmmakers to travel to especially international festivals, and it helps with grants for flights and hotels and such, and different festivals obviously pay for different expenses. Do you have any, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but do you have any sort of examples in mind of people who've come to the festival and have met other people there who they've then gone on to collaborate with, or any kind of case studies like that?
Of course, we have great examples of collaboration that started there. For me, it was funny this year when a producer of Ted Ed Initiative from USA asked us. She said, "I want to come back to Zagreb because I found 3 teams for our 2016 series. But when is the festival picnic? We have this picnic. We take people outside Zagreb and they have fun all day." And she realized that many connections she made was there. So we have this informal atmosphere that people really appreciate, and everybody's together at the same venue at the festival center, and I think it's easy for them to connect with people that are there. Of course, we do have guests that never show up. We know they're in Zagreb because the hotel says, but we never meet them, and
They never even come to pick up the accreditation?
no. I at least hope they have a good time. I don't understand. Yeah.
I think it can be quite an intimidating experience. You know, if you're quite shy, it's difficult to get out of your comfort zone and get the courage up to walk into a big room, cafe, bar of the venue and be alone. And you got to start a conversation with somebody you don't know, and you know it can be a bit intimidating.
That's why we get them drunk.
Alcohol always helps. But I use, being in Bristol, I always use Arbon as a classic example of how Arbon have used festivals wisely over the years. You know, last 20 years or so, I can think of at least a dozen people who have come to Arbon's attention, you know, on the festivals thing, and that's from people coming to Bristol, and that's from Peter Lord, the great festival aficionado who goes to nearly every other festival on the planet. And he soaks up a lot of the other creatives, and he's such a welcoming and, you know, open, and he's more than happy to talk to any creatives about life in his studio. And there are plenty of other smaller studios in and around Bristol who also benefit as well. So yeah, I can't think of, you know, exactly one thing from this year yet, but you never know. There might be a tale that will come back to me in a few months. So, I met them at the festival this year, and we've gone on to do this. You know.
We also noticed that people are coming lately because Croatian Audiovisual Center has minority co-production opportunities, and a few days ago we had results. An Estonian project got around 35,000 euros. That would be. And also foreign directors can apply with Croatian production company as a majority production, and the funds are about up to 60,000 euros for production, and we also have development money before that. So I think it's something that is becoming interesting to authors also.
And we just have a couple of minutes left, so I just wanted to ask you, besides your own festivals and the sort of obvious one like Annecy, what would be your top festivals that you would say you would advise animation producers and directors to attend and check out?
I don't have so much experience with other festivals, so I can't say. But of course, come to Zagreb and go to Encounters.
Of course.
Everybody goes to Annecy, so I don't have to say that.
And Annecy is the mecca. You know, it's the biggest. You're not going to be disappointed by attending Annecy. There are plenty of other. It depends what your film is. Mm-hmm. You don't think one size fits all for festivals, and you know you have to be a bit creative also with your festival strategy, because the programmers have different tastes across, you know, throughout the world. So what will fit Ottawa may not fit Encounters in Zagreb. Mm-hmm. But there are big ones. You know, there's Stuttgart, there's Ottawa, there's Zagreb, there's Encounters, even though it's not strictly purely animation fodder. But just do your research and find a path for your own product.
Okay, thank you.